9:30. Welcome everyone. Welcome to our visitors in the gallery. Thank you for coming. We not often get people in the gallery watching our council meeting, so we're very excited. Minro Council would like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional custodians of the land, the Nadjari, Naywal, Nangaraku, Narkat, Nurrunjeri and Paramount peoples of the Mid-Murray lands and waters. It is upon their ancestral lands and waters that the Mid-Murray Council meets and operates, and Council pays respect to elders past and present and their spiritual beliefs that are of continuing importance to those First Nations peoples of today. Council further acknowledges the contributions and important role that First Nations peoples continue to play within the community, and we extend that respect to any peoples in attendance here today. And because we have some visitors, I'm just going to run through emergency procedures. Should there be a fire or other emergency, the alarm will sound and you'll be asked to follow the directions of council staff. Council meetings are live streamed through the Mid-Murray Council website. Attendance and participation in council meetings does not provide any councillors, council employees or member of the public protection from defamation in relation to behaviour or statements made. Individual opinions or statements made during council meetings are not the opinions or statements of council. A copy of today's agenda is available on council's website. Members are reminded if they intend to move, second, speak or ask questions during the meeting, they need to clearly indicate their intention to speak by using the microphone system. It is important that members use their microphones appropriately so that those at home can hear clearly. Members are reminded that the use of mobile phones during the meeting is not permitted, and I ask you to turn your phones off or on silent. And welcome the visitors in the gallery, and I ask them to observe the meeting in respectful silence as the chamber deliberates on matters that relate to Mid-Murray Council. Council meetings are formal meetings that are subject to specific meeting procedures. This means the designated sections of the meeting, deputations, where members of the public can directly interact in the meeting, with the remainder of the meeting only providing the public with an opportunity to listen to the meeting proceedings in an observer role. Thank you. We have attendance. Looks like we have got everybody present. Confirmation of minutes. The minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 28th of January 2025 be taken as read and confirmed. We have a mover for that, Councillor McGregor, and Councillor Barber is seconding that. Any discussion on that? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Declaration of interest. We'll just go around the room. No. Okay, thank you. Business adjourned is nil, and deputations. We have Keith, Jamie, Josh and Barry from the Collute Landing Progress Association to make a deputation regarding the production of a master plan for Collute Landing. Welcome. Up the end there, we have
chairs and microphones. All this seat for all of you.
Yeah.
So anyone might work at a time. So if you press the button, I'll sit there as you want.
Slides up.
Slides. Karen, just coming.
Okay, thanks for having us.
The big one.
So we have Barry, myself, Jamie, Keith, and Josh from the Collute Landing Progress Association. We're here today to, I guess, discuss a proposal for a master plan for Collute Landing. Next slide, please. We've got a bit of an outline, an overview, reasons why, a possible solution, and stages of going about it, and possible benefits to the community, council, and Collute Landing. Bit of an overview. This was first raised with council back in January 2022. There's been various emails. We've been on site in May 2022 for the first time. In between those two dates, council proposed a road diversion after a few emails back and forwards. Basically, if you see the image on the right, satellite image, in the red, we have the entry point to Clute Landing. It's at the bottom of a hill, fairly wide area. Vehicles are not physically restricted to suitable speeds, and it's not obvious that pedestrians are sharing the same area. In the blue circled area, we've got a large parking area there. The direction of vehicle traffic is not controlled. It's unpredictable. Pedestrians navigating this area, high traffic with insufficient protections. Manoeuvring of vehicles and reversing trailers in all directions. There's no designated areas to park, and there's many blind spots between vehicles and pedestrians. And importantly, there's no safe defined pedestrian routes from shacks to the riverfront area. The yellow area at the front of shacks 15 to 19, there is zero setback from traffic. All shacks on the southern side of Clute Landing use this access area to get to their shacks. There's minimal visibility or warning for vehicles and pedestrians are coming out of the shacks. There's no margin for error if vehicles need to take action. I also want to note that no shacks in Clute Landing have backyards, so the space or the road space is utilised by children for playing and going about their sort of activities. The public toilets circled in the pink. These facilities increase temporary traffic in and out. There's no facilities at nearby location, and also noting that all shacks during the freehold period were connected to a STED system. So this is a bit of a legacy left over. Shack owners don't use these toilets. To finish off, numbers have increased over the years, particularly since freeholding. All shacks now have occupants, which are multi-generation, many kids, and the number of boats, jet skis, as council would know, has increased, particularly post-COVID. Many non-ratepayers visit this area because it's close proximity to Adelaide. Reasons why we're sort of raising this is particularly safety, requiring road alterations and appropriate traffic control measures to be put in place. This will provide a safer environment for the community, particularly children. We think it will provide more usable recreation space away from traffic, which kids will sort of congregate in and use that as opposed to the road area. And the other one is just to make the area a bit more tidy, particularly post floods. The entire Clute Landing area, apart from the lawn on the riverbank, has been maintained by ratepayers and the Progress Association over the years. But a solution which we think provide suitable traffic control. The grey area is a narrow lane with a centre island. Vehicle speed will be physically restricted with the appropriate lane width. Vehicle traffic reduced past shacks 15 to 19. There'll be a new single lane added from the centre section up to that sort of at the front of the gully area. And there'll be a removable gate added at the previous entry point, the fork in the road there, which obviously council will have access to for opening that gate when and if they require. There's designated parking bays marked with landscaping or bollards. And in between these areas, it will just be a natural environment, endemic plant species. In the lawn area at the front, we're asking for remediation and a bit of extension there, providing a safe recreation space for the community, in particular children. Probably before we go to the next slide, also note this is just a concept, it's just our idea. It's open to further discussion. We think it can be done in 4 stages. Firstly, carried out by the Progress Association and ratepayers in the short term is just increasing that lawn area and remediation. Step 2, we think the road alteration there with a single lane added to redirect vehicles away from the shacks with the zero setback. Stage 3 is public toilet removal and the parking bays and the vehicle control infrastructure put in place. Benefits to council. We think there may be reduced liability. We've got communication going back over 3 years with council. pointing out the issues that are ongoing and increasing. We've had a couple of on-site meetings with council, most recently August last year. And we think that reduced liability will come with improved safety. Reduced costs, the costs associated with upgrading and maintaining the toilets. Give less road area to maintain. And we think there's potential revenue increase with non-ratepayers and river users being directed to your more regional hubs such as Manammo Bridge. This will obviously create more revenue for businesses. Thank you.
I'd just like to add, just going back to the car parking, like Jamie said, there's car parks when, on those busy weekends, car parks and trailers at all sorts of different angles. And, small children are riding their bikes across the car park to visit, other children in other shacks. I've had so many near misses with people backing trailers out, nearly running them over, and people get blocked in, people go away in their boats, people can't get their cars out. On busy weekends, you get inundated with day trippers, sort of taking up the whole area, not leaving much space for residents. They come in, a lot of them come in the night before a long weekend, set up big shade tents, set up all their gear so that they can, have a designated spot for the weekend. Just take up the whole area. The toilets, like Jamie said, there was a use for those when we didn't have a proper sewage system. Since then, no residents use the public toilets. We have a tool shed next to there, which we keep equipment, store bottles and cans and things. If the infrastructure in the toilets was removed, we could get rid of the shed, use the building for storage. I have friends that would buy shacks down there that are unused and build something decent if it wasn't for public toilets. It actually devalues the area. And by building more expensive places down there, we would increase the rates to the council. Getting rid of the toilets would stop the expense of probably around $160,000 for an upgrade when wheelchair access. At least 40 grand a year to maintain. We see a guy down there probably twice a week, cleaning out the toilets. I mean, they're really, apart from the odd person that might come down the road and stop in there, they're really not getting used. It's sort of a waste. Well, it's an absolute waste of money, really. Like Jamie said, the traffic control is important. Sorry.
Your 5 minutes is up.
Okay.
Do you want to seek leave a meeting to add some extra minutes, or should we just go to elected members and they might ask questions?
Yeah, I just had one thing that like that with that stage one with the lawn area, which that would designate that first parking area right down by the river there, which would, help straight away. The biggest help would be removing toilets, which would remove most of the traffic problem and the associated danger. But yes, fire away the questions.
Right, and to elected members.
It's needed to turn the button off. Thank you.
Sorry.
Hi, thanks for coming. I just had a query about the flow of non-shack owners coming and going. Is the traffic just strangers coming in to access the river, or how does that work?
But so they'll come down to access the river, and set up on the little bit of lawn that we've got left up floods. And
A boat ramp there.
and to utilise boat ramp. There's not really not much space for parking boats. But whatever space is, they'll take it up.
And people just take up wherever they can fit. So if they can squeeze in somewhere, they'll squeeze in. They don't really care about other people having access or even be able to use the boat ramp. So we have
an area was supposed to be set up, was supposed to be kept clear so we can drive into our circle and back in. People park across there, they park everywhere because
There's no parking signs there, but they just take no
they just,
notice.
because there's no physical barriers or anything to stop them, they just park wherever they want. And then we also have people that come from other areas, fly in, use the toilets and fly out, and they come in at 1,000,000 miles an hour because they're busting for the toilet. They'll come in, use it, and then chuff off, but they come in very
There's a
quickly.
10 kilometre speed limit there, but no. All parking residents.
Yes, hello, and thank you for coming. Great deputation, great map and plan of what you plan to do. Looks awesome. My question is in regards to that then, are you thinking of with those parking bays, they just look like standard parking bays, but would you be incorporating in your plans, ideas for boat parking, like longer extended parks? I didn't see if they look like that, but.
Something like
Sorry, I see that there's 4 there. Sorry, now you're saying that, and those other ones on that lower level. So having a few there. Okay. How many parks are there that you reckon are there? 20, 30?
There's probably about 15 there without counting, but obviously this is a concept, and if it was to go further, I guess you guys have traffic engineers that would plan that better, more accurately, and provide more or less parks, depending on what the council thought was the best way to go.
We could put, put more in, if it was necessary, if the toilets were gone, we wouldn't have that amount of people down there, so we wouldn't need that much parking.
Questions from me. How many members do you have in your Progress Association?
Progress Association, or that committee you're talking about?
Just members, like, is everyone in?
Oh,
Yeah.
what, 40 or 50?
Yeah, every shack owner down there is on the,
Yeah.
as part of.
And is there general consensus
Yes,
about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just for your information, we have 52 shack areas, so it's a lot. So if we do something for one, we're going to be expected to do that for the other. I'm sure we'll have some chats about how that works. Anyone else have questions?
You go.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. My question is just around, so we've got quite a few shack owners that come up and use it on weekends, holidays and that. How many people live in that area full time?
Top of my head, there'd be 4 or 5 shacks occupied full time, which that's great.
I think there's probably more. Yeah,
Okay.
Probably close to that.
yeah.
Sorry, it's clunky. So just 2 questions, and one's maybe, from a cynical perspective, that the removal of toilets removes community access. So then it becomes just for the residents or the owners there. What's your response to that? That's me, sorry.
We think the benefit there is those people that would be visiting, because the toilets would then be redirected to areas like Madam, which would have more benefits for the council and community and businesses. Yeah.
Also, it's a Little Landing is a small area. There's a lot more people now visiting shacks and staying in shacks. There's a lot of shacks that were abandoned, a lot of them have been sold, and new people have come in. So really, the area only pretty much caters for the rate-paying residents that are already there. It's not a huge waterfront area like you have here in Madam,
Yeah, and I understand that. Obviously, it's community land and is meant to be able to be accessed by the community as a whole, and that could be anyone that could come in there and use those facilities.
Yes, absolutely.
Understand the point. My other question is, and obviously we'll have a report back to council on this, is funding contributions. The Progress Association open and willing to have those conversations around?
Yeah, so we're willing to put down the grass and put in the sprinkler system for the grassed area. And
we're also prepared to, any help we could get from the council would be great. We know don't have an awful lot of money at the moment, but we're happy to fund pretty much all of it ourselves. We also have the expertise to do it. We have the equipment to do it. and we have the appropriate insurance policies to do it.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, guys. My question's more directed to Dave, Director of Infrastructure. If it's declared a public boat ramp, do we have to have public amenities available at a public boat ramp?
Through the chair, that would be a decision of council as well, the level of service that you have at the boat ramp. It is a public area, the public toilets have been there for quite some time. So that would be the service that we set that area. But if the council decided to remove the toilets, and that is the proposal through our sustainability, then that would be a decision of council to remove the toilets.
So no, you don't have, we have boat ramps that don't have toilets in other areas. So we've got
Shadows landing.
too many toilets across the district, so removing toilets is something that we've considered as part of our sustainability review. And it's just around where they should be located strategically, suggesting that they should be here, but yeah, that's a holistic approach to public toilets.
Any further questions from elected members? If not,
Again, just want to infrastructure, so the signage for that area on the main road, does the signage say toilets and jetty? So that people passing can know that there's toilets down there?
yeah, I think anything related to that will come back in the report. We'll just stick the questions on deputation.
I think there's public toilets at Wood Lane, which is further down the road.
We'll discuss that.
Yeah.
If there's no further questions for these guys doing the deputation, we thank you for coming and, yeah, watch this space. Little.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
We'll have
Alex.
some discussion and a report come back to council at some point.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes.
You are welcome to stay for council meeting.
It's
Thanks for coming. All right, went over time. I'll get better than this, I promise. Petitions are nil. 9.1 is monthly financial report of January 2025. The recommendation is that the report be received. Councillor Hammond is moving that. Would you wish to speak on that? No. And Councillor Schultz is seconding that. Would you wish to speak?
No, it's sort of maintaining the status quo.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good,
It's not
isn't
getting
it?
worse.
Yeah. Okay, any questions, discussion on that item? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? And again, that is carried. Thanks for making my job easy for that first one. 9.2 budget review December 2024. The recommendation is that the report be received and that council adopts the budget review with a net operating surplus of 2.66 million and revised total loan borrowings at the end of the year of 9.172 million, being a decrease of 3.12 million from the September budget review, incorporating the changes listed in the summary budget of changes December 2024. We have our loser. Councillor McPeak, do you wish to speak on that? No, and a seconder, Councillor Barber, would you like to speak on that? Hey, any discussion? Would anyone like to speak?
I just have a question.
Yeah, question, sure.
Is page 29 meant to be blank?
Yeah, there is no information through on there. It was just the way the document was formatted here, unfortunately.
Oh, perfect, we're not missing anything. Any further questions? Discussion? Anyone like to speak? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? And against, that is carried. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
We made your job easy. Okay, 10.1 infrastructure and food services summary report. The recommendation is the report we received. Councillor Myers is moving. Would you like to speak?
I've just got a question about part of the attachment.
Sure.
Capital projects, town cemetery upgrades. Says there, once quotes have been received, a contractor will be appointed. With Cadell and Morgan, have you considered using the training centre? So you don't have to use a contractor and pay the person?
Through the chair, it's probably specialist equipment, because what we're looking at doing is levelling out from Cadell and doing some overlays with granular stone. We do use the Cadell Training Centre for other works. But at this point in time, this is a project that we're looking at getting done right across all the townships. So appointing contractors for those.
Councillor Schultz.
Just a question for Director Dave, or put it back. On page 52, it says about the standpipes, the public consultations closed. And a report is due back to council. Well, of course, any idea when that report will happen? Because I've been getting a lot of queries about what's happening with the standpipes. Are we going to lose them? What do we do? And yeah, people are getting anxious.
Through the chair, I'd assume that I'm putting a report of what we heard report out of the consultation. Whether that becomes a decision as to what direction we go to, but I think the consultation needs to go back to council first, and then a report on the status of the standpipes after that. We have put in for a grant for the standpipes, but we get to hear about it.
So do you think that the result of the consultation will be at the next?
Next meeting, yes.
Councillor Schultz, were you seconding that when you put your hand?
I think I was.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Just confirm. Did you want to say something?
No, I was going to make a point about the funding.
Perfect. Any questions, or would anyone like to speak on the motion? Councillor Schultz, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of questions. The PERSA grant application for the automation, do you have any idea about timeframe for hearing about that? And the other question was the SAPN approval for artwork on Stoby poles in Blanchetown. I was just wondering whether we could have a briefing, because I know in another town, artwork on Stoby poles created havoc. So I just thought it interesting and useful to have a briefing on it.
I can update you on the PERSA. The minister did give me a call the other day. She thought that when we discussed it, it was between 30 and 60,000, and I said per standpipe, but she was a bit shocked about the total amount that we applied for. So I'm not feeling as confident as what I was prior to that conversation. So Ben and I are talking about other alternate things we could write to in the meantime. Hopefully, have a report back to council. The other one was David Downs. Director of Infrastructure.
Through the chair, we're not aware of the type of artwork that the Blanchetown community are looking at doing. They are looking at using, I think, the local artist, I think his name's Mr. Lockton, as a bit of an idea, but we haven't actually seen what sort of artwork they're looking at doing at this stage. I know the Cape one, they're looking at doing ceramic, like mosaics, and we haven't seen any versions of those yet.
I've done 6, they look fabulous. Any further questions, comments, or would like to speak on the motion? Councillor Hammond.
I'll just put a comment on regards to that, because I know quite a few people are involved in the Brompton, Bowden council area where they do the mosaics on the Stoby poles there, and they make them off-site and then erect them on there. So it's actually the mosaic system, it has a lot less havoc than hand paint or doing painting artworks or murals on the Stoby poles in regards to it's a quick stick up when they do it. Yeah.
Any further questions, comments? Anyone else like to speak or put that motion up? All those in favour? And again, states carrying. 10.2, Cadell Club Incorporated and McBay Service temporary road closure request. The procedure says I can ask the CEO. The recommendation is that the report be received, approval be granted to enable the Cadell Anzac that day dawn service to be held at the Cadell War Memorial, and the roads detailed below to be closed to all vehicular traffic other than the vehicles associated with the dawn service event on Friday, 25th of April 2025, subject to general conditions in council's major event permit. And then there's a section of the road traffic that says the event and the roads. Subject to the issue of orders referred to in recommendations 2, 3 and 4, Midborough Council or its agents and contractors be authorised to install and remove or cause the installation and removal of necessary and appropriate traffic control devices for the conduct of this event. Council waiver, the road closure application fee of $570, and the CEO be authorised to make minor amendments to the road closure. Would someone like to move that as written? Councillor Davis, would you like to speak on that?
Just on road closures in general, can we have a briefing on possibly getting volunteers to do that work apart from contractors to save money? Just to talk about other options. because we have a lot of road closures for different things, so if we can do it with community, I think that would be a great thing.
Through the mayor, unfortunately, you can't use volunteers for road closures because to put things like cones and things on the road, you have to have work zone traffic management training. So they have to be accredited, and then they also have to be authorised by council under the Minister for Transport's general approval to put cones and items on roads. So it's not as simple as asking a volunteer to help out.
Some volunteers have, just going to say some do have that training. Yeah, so
I think it's worth a briefing
I think so.
in
just
that
to
whether we
discuss.
set a limit that we will pay and then the community decide on how big.
And they may be able to do their own, pay their own, their own traffic management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor McGregor, are you seconding that?
Yeah, I just wanted, I just wanted to second it.
Yeah.
And also just speak on it.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, just through the mayor, I agree about we need a briefing, just because the cost, and I have spoken to the director of infrastructure, one of them in the email, sorry Dave. Yeah, the costs compared to last year have sort of gone up astronomically. We've added in an extra one, so there's sort of quite a large cost there, and I think we just need to understand that will come to some, decision as to how that sort of goes in future.
And through the mayor, I think, there's over nearly $15,500 in road closure costs associated with the four Anzac Day services. And as Dave's report outlines, it's in the matrix, so we cover the costs. So I think it's important that we do put some parameters around that, given two of them have double the cost of the others, which creates some challenges. Not to say the council doesn't support this important day, it's just about how we manage that.
I guess the other piece of missing data in there is, I think in the event form is how many people they expect. If 50 people for $5,000, that's $100, a head for road closures. So I think that would make a difference in council's position. Any further discussion or anyone who wish to speak on that motion? Councillor Fletcher, please.
Yeah, just as part of the briefing, I'm assuming that the variations may well be to do with the road layout and the different towns and where they need to stop.
Yeah.
As in the costs.
Yeah.
How far they are
It's
from
far,
other.
and obviously, because we're using external contractors to do it. So the more road that's closed, and the travel distance and the other considerations, that's where the costs increase.
Through the mayor, if I read the report correctly, one of them is actually an Anzac Day march, which requires more road closures.
Yeah, that's not.
Councillor Myers.
Just out of curiosity, a few years back, when Manham Progress was allocated a community grant for a trailer with all the road closure gear. People in Manham were trained and people in Morgan were also trained. So does that training expire?
Through the chair, yes, correctly, we actually, council brought the trailer and they got a grant for the signage for the net trailers. We actually just went through that process with the rowing club to see whether the Progress Association had the appropriate tickets. They've got what's called marshalling tickets, which is not the work zone traffic management tickets. So you actually still have to have an accredited person to oversee the marshals on site. And unfortunately, the rowing club couldn't manufacture that. So we've given them a price to do that. And to do the roadworks, the road closures elsewhere, you actually have to have an accredited person to oversee those marshals.
I think in the long term, it'd probably be cheaper to have trained local volunteers than.
I think it's definitely worth discussing in the briefing and whether we put something in the policy of our expectation or something like that. That'd be great.
Reducing the road closures as best we can.
Yes. Or putting back to that community if they want really big, then they they put up some money or some volunteers. Any further question or discussion in relation to the Cadell one that we've got on the table? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Thank you. 10.3, Madam RSL temporary road closure request. The recommendation is that the report be received. The approval will be granted to enable the Madam Anzac Day dawn service to be held at the Monument Corner Madam, and that the roads detailed below have temporary traffic control and speed restrictions for all vehicular traffic other than vehicles associated with the dawn service event on Friday, the 25th of April, 2025, subject to general conditions of council's event permit. And then we've got a little bit about the Road Traffic Act and all the roads. 0.5, subject to the issue of orders referred to in recommendations 2, 3 and 4, Mid-Range Council or its agents and contractors be authorised to install and remove or pause the installation and removal of necessary and appropriate traffic control devices for the conduct of this event. Council waiver the road closure application fee of 570 and the CO be authorised to make minor amendments to the road closure if required. And Councillor Hammond is moving that. Would you like to speak on that? Councillor Barber was seconding that. Would you like to speak? Excellent. Anyone wish to add to that one in relation to the Madam RSL event? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? Against, that is carried. Thank you. 10.4, Swan Reach RSL Anzac Day dawn service temporary road closure request. Like deja vu. The recommendation is that a report be received, that approval be granted to enable the Swan Reach Anzac Day dawn service to be held at the Swan Reach Soldiers Memorial, and that the roads detailed below have temporary traffic control and speed restrictions to all vehicular traffic other than vehicles associated with the dawn service on Friday the 25th of April 2025, subject to the general conditions applicable to council's major event permit. And then there's 2 points of all the roads. And then 0.5, subject to the issue of orders referred to in recommendations 2, 3 and 4, Mid-Range Council or its agents and contractors be authorised to install and remove or pause the installation and removal of necessary and appropriate traffic control devices for the conduct of this event. And council waiver the road application fee of 570 and the CO be authorised to make minor amendments to the road closure if required, as required. Councillor Barber is moving that. Do you wish to speak? No. Councillor McGregor is seconding that. Would anyone like to speak on this Swan Reach Anzac Day? If not, we will put this motion up. All those in favour? And again, that is carried. Thank you. 10.5, Morgan RSL Anzac Day March temporary road closure. The recommendation is that a report be received, approval be granted to enable the Morgan Anzac Day March to be held along 4th Street and High Street, Morgan, and that the roads detailed below have temporary traffic controls and speed restrictions to all vehicular traffic other than vehicles associated with the Anzac March event on Friday the 25th of April 2025, subject to the general conditions applicable in council's major event permit. And 0.3 is a little bit longer, so you've got some roads and they're going to be moving. 0.4 is another part of the Road Traffic Act. 0.5, same as the others. 0.6 is the same that we waiver the road closure application fee, and 0.7 is the same that CO be authorised to make minor amendments to the road closure as required. Do we have a mover? Councillor Myers, thank you. Do you wish to speak on that?
No.
No. Councillor Davis is seconding that. Do you wish to speak on that?
Just this March hasn't been held for a little while, so it's great to see it come back. It's been wanted for quite a while, so it's finally happening.
Councillor McGregor.
No.
Councillor Barber.
Through the mayor, I was just going to have a comment that it's great to see that one of the smaller communities is having the Anzac Day March. Yeah, it's really good to see.
Any further comments? Discussion? Wish to speak? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. 10.6, Madam Show major event application. I like this recommendation, but the report be received. Yes.
Councillor Hayden's moving that. Do you wish to speak?
No, and councillor Barber is seconding that. Do you wish to speak? No, anybody else wish to speak or have any questions or discussion? This is too easy. We will put that motion up then. All those in favour, against, that is carried. 10 points. Run to the reach, show and shine temporary road closure request. The recommendation is that the report be received, approval be granted to enable the run to the reach, show and shine to be held in Victoria Street, Swan Reach, and that the road detailed below be closed to all vehicular traffic other than vehicles associated with the run to the reach, show and shine event on Sunday, the 6th of April, 2025, subject to general conditions applicable to council's major event permit. I'll take 3 and 4 as you've all read. 5, we have a slight change. So subject to the issue of orders referred to in recommendations 2, 3 and 4, Mid-Murray Council or its agents and contractors be authorised to install and remove or pause the installation and removal of necessary and appropriate traffic control devices for the conduct of this event, with all costs associated with this to be covered by the Murray Valley Auto Club. And council waived the road closure application fee of 570 and bin hire fees as requested by the applicant, and the CO be authorised to make minor amendments to the road closure as required. If someone would like to move that, councillor Barber, would you like to speak on that? Yes.
Through the mayor, I'd just like to congratulate the organisers of this event. It's getting bigger and bigger. They're getting lots of sponsorship, and last year's event was really great. So I'm glad that it was good to see it growing.
Councillor Hannon, you seconded. Would you like to speak?
I'm just going to mirror those sentiments, that it's really lovely to see this event happening, and I'll be obviously coming this year. I love a bit of show and shine on classic cars, but also, yes, that it's great that it's minimal cost and they're having to take on a little bit of the funding for the road closures and stuff for us. That's awesome as well. Win-win.
Would anybody else like to talk on that motion or have questions? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. 10.8 legislative requirements of crossing points. The recommendation is that the report be received. We have a mover, Councillor Myers. Thank you. Do you wish to speak on that?
No.
And Councillor Hammond, did I see you seconding
I'll
that?
second
Would you
that.
like to speak on that? No. Do we have anybody else that wishes to speak on that? Councillor McGregor.
Just through the mayor, just a comment in general that it's great to have this document, and hopefully we can still have a bit of an education piece on how the ratepayers and that, because it is a lot of the questions we get asked in the deputations.
Yes. Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Do we need to turn this into a fact sheet or something? So all the work's being done, so that we have to that, just so we can hand it out. I think that would be handy for infrastructure staff and councillors. And does the people that did the deputation, are they aware of this? And we send something. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? Against, that is carried. 11.1 performance indicators scheme report for 23-24. The report, the recommendation is that the report be received. With the mover, Councillor Hammond, thank you. You wish to speak? No. Councillor Barber, seconding. Do you wish to speak? No. Anybody wish to speak? It's like I'm begging now.
No, we're now for you. We lost a bit of time. We're making up time.
Okay, if no one would like to speak, no questions or discussion, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Right, saying unanimous, Vanessa. Can't remember.
So your worship, no, not necessarily.
And we should break the system this time, Gary. So it was also one of the issues where we had 4 different agendas once.
11.2 Combination Diversity Code Amendment Draft Submission. And the recommendation is that the report be received, the draft submission to the Accommodation Diversity Code Amendment be endorsed, and the CEO be authorised to make any minor amendments to the draft submission. Do we have that, Linda? Councillor Gregor, do you wish to speak on that? Seconder? Councillor Schultz, thank you. Do you wish to speak? No. No. Would anybody else like to speak? Any questions or discussion? Councillor Hammond?
I just have a little question just about the co-living land use. So it was sort of said that something we don't ever have precedence of happening in the area. Do you see that as something that could possibly be potentially that could be in the future of us becoming sort of new metropolis areas in our buildings of our town plans? That's something that could affect us in a later stage, even if we haven't had it ever as a precedent before. It's a question for you, Dave, sorry, Director, or whoever this is to. Gary, sorry, Gary, it's to you.
Dave can answer.
Actually, according to the procedures, it's to me and
Oh, through the mayor.
Gary.
Through the mayor.
Through the mayor, this is a statewide code amendment, so it's obviously facilitating more forms of dwelling type. So it may that this will facilitate the community within our district.
Yep.
So it's just depending on what the developers see, there's a market value in potentially providing that form of home.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. 11.3, handbrake swimming pool. And I've had a few people come and have a chat to me, and I would like to seek leave of meeting for a short-term suspension for maybe 10 minutes to have a chat about this. Can I just by hands, if you're happy to, yeah, that's 2/3, thank you. So we'll wait a few minutes before we go to the motion. Who would like to speak? Councillor Schultz.
I'll read this out. Wrote this late last night, it might make sense or it might not. The motion on the 20th of August last year was for the pool to be open from the 1st of December 24 to close on the 3rd of March 25. That's a total open time of 13 weeks, if my notes is correct. Now, the table on page 142 of the agenda shows the total expenses and income. I'm not really going to take income into account because that's unpredictable. I'm just working on the expenses side of things. Total expenses to the 5th of February were $70,586. That's in the table. And there is a discrepancy of 3 days if you're working on weeks open for costings. The date for expenses should have gone up to Sunday the 2nd of Feb, not the Wednesday the 5th. It just, yeah, it's a bit of an anomaly there.
I think that is just because
The
the
opening day.
invoice is on that day, so they might not have paid wages, so it's just in the system on that day. That's what the expenses would be. So they might not have everything in there, but that's what our accounting system shows.
Yeah, however, given the figures in the table, I worked on 9 weeks expenses, which gave a weekly expense of $7,842, and did my maths work out right there?
Right.
So if we work on $7,842 per week for 13 weeks, as per the original motion, that works out to $101,946. That's correct, yes. Page. And my calculations are based on that table. And even allowing for some variations, I would not support extending the full open season. As a council, we need to be focusing on saving money rather than just having the attitude that there is money in the budget, so why not spend it? Also, considering the council no longer funds the Manham pool, I think it would be insulting to those people that did use the pool to see that the Cambrai pool season was extended. And then with the additional information that Councillor McGregor requested, it indicates that 16 additional days will cost, which is 4 weeks, will cost approximately 10,800.
No, 5,400.
And then on the other,
That was the cumulative of these
Oh,
remaining of the
right.
season plus the extended season.
yeah. And in any case, I said my figures might be out of there. I think it would be financially responsible to carry over any unspent funds in the budget for this project for the coming year to reduce rate rise pressures on our ratepayers. And I would like to see that surplus carried forward and contribute to maintenance of the pool rather than just blow it on wages. I'm finished now.
Anyone else, we're out of meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
you go first, me? No.
Councillor McGregor.
You were first.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, you're the elected member that is in the township where we have the pool. Have you had any feedback or requests to extend?
This caught me by surprise when I
Yeah.
saw it on the agenda. I thought, oh no, what now?
Yeah. So it just, to me, it just concerns me that, you know, the public haven't come to.
Well, we've had requests through Member Bailey,
Okay,
so as a report outlines. so,
okay, yeah.
Through, through the school
Yeah.
and
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I just sort of think there was an option when we voted on this last year and which option, short season, long season and all the days that did sort of say about extending the season, but we did elect at that time to go for what we went for. That's my views.
I mean, I think it's excellent that they're using it and it's getting more use than it was in previous years. Obviously, we've had a good hot summer. And the balance off of seasons, how we go with pools is like, you might have a great year, next year might be rainy and not as good. It all is very fluctuant on when on the days we're open, right? So I totally mirror your sentiments that, you know, any money savings we get or extra, you know, income coming through because of more attendance on a hot year should be in the waves and tides added to those, you know, that years when we don't get as many participations and for the maintenance of the pool to actually just keep the pool alive. I originally in that meeting last year wanted us to extend the season till maybe I said after Labor Day long weekends. I kind of thought WOMAD weekend, that's always really hot, and maybe after a long weekend. That was my opinion last year and we voted on it. I remember I spoke a little bit on that. And everyone else kind of said, no, let's just make it this date, end of the month, la la la. And I kind of feel like, you know, looking at this now, we've got people that are asking us to extend. I love the idea of being able to extend things for community if that is possible, but I feel like we're still not out of the woods yet with our pools and their sustainability by any means. So I kind of feel like, yeah, we should extend.
My feel is about creating community capacity. So if we're already paying, you know, X amount to keep the pool open, if we could keep it open for them without wages, you know, similar to what happened on Australia Day weekend, then we're building that community capacity for the month. If they want it, they're showing us that they want it, rather than just shutting it and we have literally the same expenses, less wages. I don't know how everyone feels about that.
I was wondering if the community could do that somehow, extend it.
I just think we need to start building the community. We can't keep doing this. Like you've said, you know, there's certain costs that we should probably bear, but if we can cut down, that would be the wages.
Would I be right in assuming that the lobbying was predominantly from the school?
through Member Bailey, I'd pose that to Gary and Nat.
When we met with the community to discuss the days that they wanted it to be opened, there was a meeting held in Canberra and there was quite a few, like the community in there. That was when it was requested. They asked us at that meeting if we could extend the season. So it was right back at the very start before the pool had even opened, that they requested the season be extended. And the school has since reiterated that to us as well.
So the latest one is from the school, but you're going right back to the beginning, and because there's funds there, you're figuring, well, might as well extend the season?
I'm putting it out there because it's been requested to us from the community. Last year, we had a really hot March, and there was a lot of feedback in regards to the pool not being open in the hottest month. It's not looking like that. The long range is not looking like March is going to be, but who knows, the weatherman's been known to be wrong. So yeah, we're just putting it out there, showing you what's available in terms of funding. The community has a desire. It's up to you.
I'm just a bit of both camps here. I can certainly see your point of don't have to spend the budget just because the money's there. But also I can see that this season, the community has really got behind supporting the pool. It's had a lot more use than previously. And I feel if the community is willing to support it at that extra level, that maybe we should consider extending the season. Because I'm just worried that if we go, no, we're not going to, then the community is going to be disappointed that they've gone to the effort of the extra support this year, and they've asked for an extra 3 or 4 weeks for it to be open if the weather is right for it, and then we just go, no. So that's what I'm concerned about.
I think we could meet them halfway though. End of March is a lot longer than say, like I originally thought, to the after the Labor Day long weekend, which is when people are doing stuff and having picnics and barbecues and want to utilise. So I don't know, Carly thinks that we could extend it maybe a week or whatever to the Labor Day long weekend. That's giving them the idea that we're all listening and you're using it and we're extending it a bit for you. But to extend that whole month and like you're saying, for $5,000 of cost, I don't know. I feel like for maintenance, a long term of the pool for next year.
We've got less than 1 minute left. Do we feel like we've got enough to go back, or do we feel like
I'd still
longer?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we don't know is the increase in usage because of the weather. We actually don't have those figures for saying how many extra days were open, how many extra people came, because they haven't had to close because the weather's been good. So I'm not convinced by that argument, even though I think, it may be that some more people have used it, but that may simply be because it's been hot. The other thing is that there's nothing in what's happening so far that assures me that any significant amount of the costs of running the pool are going to be met by usage. So the suggestion that we approach the community about would they be prepared to find 2 people who would do the job that we're currently paying for with the lifeguards, then I think that would be brilliant, and we could still support in the other ways, the other costs, but it would be a lot less for us. And it's an opportunity to test it out for the community in the school. So we've had leased the place to the school for a couple of days already. So there's a test already, and I would suggest that we should offer that to them as a first option.
Just for you, Memo, the figures in the report are per day patronage. So it's irrelevant how many days it's opened, because that's actually, it's increased from 13.18 patrons per day to 20.61 patrons per day on opening. So it's opened an extra 20 days.
Yeah, but I'm still not convinced you wouldn't get more people because it was a lot hotter. That's that problem with it. It's just difficult with statistics.
Gary, do you want to say?
Just going to say, as per the email sent out yesterday, if you give the option for school to open it, it will only be to school patrons, it won't be to the public.
So does that mean if mum comes with her kids? But how does that work? Because the one would have to be a guardian.
Because it will be done through the school as a lease.
Yeah.
It's only the school patrons that will be able to utilise the pool.
Through Mego, it will be up to the school to decide how that works, because they have to cover the liability. And when we did it for that one-off, we did charge for the community use, and so that would be a consideration on whether, if that happened, whether we would actually charge a higher fee for those days.
I'm still going to go with my non-extension. I think the people around Sedan Canberra, the users of the pool, would understand, given the financial situation of this council, they would understand that at this time it stays as the original motion, with the view that, in the future, if their attendance stays, like this time or better, this year or better, well, things can change.
Right, we'll go back into meeting now, and I'll leave it open to the floor for someone to move a motion. Whether it's just a report we received, or whether you want to add the rest. You let me know. Who would like to move a motion? Councillor Schultz.
I will just move, 1, that the report be received, and 2, that the current pool season remains as per the original motion. And three, any surplus funds be carried over in the future, for future maintenance of the pool, something like that. Yeah.
I think so too would be that the
The season remains.
season remains to finish on the 3rd of March.
So is it in the interest of the group to consider an approach to the school regarding at minimal cost leasing? Or I don't know what the level of interest is in that concept.
That would not be another point, wouldn't it?
Yep.
What about another point? The bottom point, the CO have authority to open. Without the staff and what budget? What would cover?
I'm cheating that really still, sorry, negotiate, use no opening days of the pool. Well, I think I wouldn't need that because, you know, if someone wants to hire the pool, then we've got a process to put that in place. That part of the motion was to maybe enable me to move days because the example that happened was that it was a public holiday, I think, and it was going to be 40 degrees. But the motion was quite clear that it has to open on Monday, Tuesday, whatever it was. So.
But the full season date, does that mean we stop all operations and then looking after the pool from the 3rd or that? That
We
would
still
allow
have to
you
maintain
continue
the
to do
swimming
that.
pool.
Still costs associated with maintaining the pool after the season ends.
So I think through you, Member Bailey, the comment of the season finishing is when we staff it and provide. Correct.
Are you happy with that, Nova? Would you like to speak on that?
I think it was
You
going
have it, okay, perfect. Councillor Hammond is seconding that. Yeah,
sure.
would you
Yes,
like to speak on
I
that?
I had a question, but yes, I was second and question. Just in regards to maintenance of the pool, obviously, like, when we stop serving the community, it's still obviously having its chemical levels tested and we'll have to go out there and check it regularly for the pumps and all that jazz. Would it be financially viable to drain the pool and then really reduce our maintenance costs throughout the year and then refill it? Does that work out to be cheaper or not? No, like, more expensive? Alrighty, just wanted to know.
I just want to clarify if 0.4 is staying.
No. So we've just moved 0.1 with 0.2 being the current full season remainder finished on the 3rd of March and any surplus funds be carried over to maintenance of the pool, for future maintenance or?
Yes, Andrew, yeah.
Gary.
I was just going to suggest, is it worth leaving 4 in, given the circumstances we had, where if we were to have another, heat wave, 40 plus degrees, would, council be prepared to allow CEO to have that authority to open the pool?
So that's that.
Post 3rd of December, 3rd of March, or?
Well, that's within the season.
Within
Within the season. So if between now and the 3rd of March is another 40-degree day outside your current opening date.
Which is the weekend, going to be hot.
Yes.
Then, within the season,
Yeah, so within the season, Gary, yes.
Do you need that in there?
Maybe.
Opening days of the pool within full season or until 3rd of March?
I
With the
reckon.
current season, maybe just to be clarity,
Yeah.
after opening days of the pool, Carol.
Number 4?
Yeah, or
Just before each start.
Yeah.
Within.
the current season.
Rita, happy with that? Yes, seconder?
I'm happy with that.
With that, would anybody else like to speak on that motion or have discussion, questions, feedback? We'll just read the motion out as it stands. The motion is the report be received. The current full season remained finished on the 3rd of March 2025. Any surplus funds be carried over to the maintenance of the pool for future maintenance. Carried over
Maybe just for this budget line, so any surplus funds from the budget, specific budget?
Yeah, budgets,
Yeah, any. Yeah, from the budget,
From the full budget.
from the full budget. They carried over.
Do we want to be that specific?
Well, can you just maybe provide a comment on that wording for?
Yeah, so if you have it, the wording there, you're actually saying that you're going to put extra maintenance into next
Yeah,
year.
the whole lot.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think
there
it
may
should
be unexpected maintenance, like if a pump breaks.
Yeah.
If not, then we'll take it out the adjustments as the year normally goes through. We're probably more sure that we don't, we won't have expenses in basically the third budget review. We look at and we say, well, maintenance being low, let's come up, cut some of that and put it back to as savings through the budget.
Yeah.
So you can have that, or you can just say that, that at the next
Budget review.
budget review, the expenditure to be reviewed. Yeah.
Yeah, because they want to exactly, that's probably a good idea.
I was just, I was leaning that way because the amount that's been spent on maintenance, it's not a real great amount. I mean, law of averages, something.
Basically, I suppose there's probably not enough in the budget. If we have a pump failure, you've got to replace something for $600. By the time you get someone to install it, you're up for $1,000 basically. Yeah.
So something like surplus budget to come back to council for future review, or budget remaining at the end of the season.
Any surplus funds from the, well, you're not sure whether it's going to be surplus, I suppose. It's just say that
Council to review budget.
that the full budget be reviewed at the next budget review for potential savings.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was the line.
Yep.
Do you want with the potential for some to be carried over, or that's enough? We'll review it. Remember, All right, so I'll just read this again. So the report be received, the current pool season remainder finished on the 3rd of March. The pool budget be reviewed at the next budget review for potential savings, and the CEO or his delegate have authority to negotiate additional opening days of the pool within the current season if staffing and budget allow in extreme heat. That's okay with the mover, the seconder. Any further discussion, questions? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. 12.1, remuneration tribunal review of minimum and maximum remuneration for local government chief executive officers. The recommendation is that you receive that council authorises the mayor to finalise the development of a submission for lodgement prior to the closing date to the Remuneration Tribunal of South Australia in relation to the report of the Remuneration Tribunal 2024 review of minimum and maximum remuneration for local government chief executive officers and the draft determination of the Remuneration Tribunal minimum and maximum CEO remuneration. A draft submission will be provided to elected members prior to the elected member briefing session on the 4th of March for review and comment to assist with council's submission, and the final submission lodged will be presented to the 18th of March meeting of council for information. Do we have Councillor Barber, do you wish to speak on that? And Councillor McGregor seconding that. Do you wish to speak on that? No? Would anybody else like to speak on that? And just for your information, the LGA SA are actually running an online session on Friday, which I'll be attending and will be attending as well. So you'll have some extra input that we might be able to use in that submission. So if there's no further questions, we will put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Thank you. 12.2, council representation on the SA Rainbow Advocacy Alliance for the Rainbow Council Network for 2025.
And the recommendation has a gap, so I'll go to our code of practice procedure at meetings. And what to do if council needs to appoint a person to a position, the presiding member will call for nominations for positions. I'll open it to nominations. Do we have any nominations? Councillor Davis.
I would like to nominate Councillor Hammond.
Thank you. So did everybody nominate?
I think I was
to
trying to
accept that. Perfect.
I'll happily accept her nomination. Thank you very much.
Any further nominations? Councillor McGregor.
Yep, just through the mayor, I would like to nominate councillor Jen Davis.
Councillor Davis is duly nominated. Would anybody else wish to nominate anybody? Right, so we have 2 nominees. So according to,
Sorry, does
Yeah.
Councillor Davis accept that?
oh yeah. He does accept that. So if there are more nominations than positions, council needs to consider if it wishes and conduct a secret ballot. So each member, including the presiding member, has 1 vote. The secret ballot is conducted by the CEO or their delegate. Nominees may give a brief explanation. So before you write someone's name, all nominees have 3 minutes to talk about why they're nominating, their skills, qualifications and experience that they bring to the position. So Councillor Cameron, would you like to speak?
Okay, I think most of you know that I feel very passionately about LGBTIQ issues. I know Jen does as well. I'm a queer woman here in the community, so it actually really affected me with our flag raising debacles that happened over the last couple of years with the pride flag. And after this year, I did actually contact Headspace afterwards for a bit more sort of mental health support, I guess, in regards to how it feels being in a position here on council as someone that is queer and feeling like, well, I know I'm a 2%. And I'd love to see more queer events happening here. I'd love to see more Feast and Pride events happening here. And I do believe this is a great Rainbow Alliance because it's an opportunity to see more things happening in our regional area to fight homophobia and to promote a safe and inclusive space for all of our LGBTI and in particularly trans community here that feel very sort of alone and they're feeling very victimised a lot of the time. So I think we really need to support our trans community as well as our whole rainbow community. And I would love to be involved in this to help more things happen in our region.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Feeling the same a little bit as Councillor Hammond. I've got family and friends that I support in this space and have had a few come to me with ideas and things that they want to see happen in our council area to support them, which I think there is definitely a need.
Thank you very much. I just want to acknowledge, I'm very sorry that you struggled with what happened from the flag. It's disappointing that people in our community have to feel that way. Very, very sad. So I really hope that this project that the LGA has put some funding into does change things and helps us all understand it and maybe educate and have some stuff going out to the community. So I'll ask everyone to do their vote.
Do we vote for ourselves?
It's a secret ballot.
I know, when it's your own day, it feels weird.
That's all.
Missy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We need to look at what happens.
But Jen, it's also amazing. So whoever gets in it, we're both great. I just wish we could have 2 councillors. We'd make a forceful team. We're a huge area. That'd be nice. You know, and whoever gets in, like I said, people like happy to help and support in any way each other in the process. So we're all in it together. We're not going for sheep stations.
Okay, so it's a tie. So in the event of a tie, council members are to cast a further vote for their preferred candidate from the candidates who are tied.
In the event that a further ballot cannot determine a clear winner, then the matter is decided by drawing of lots, the candidate first drawn being the candidate excluded from the draw.
What?
Can I just summarise? So you get another poll. And if it's a tie again, then we go to a draw from the hat. And it's the person that's drawn, before you do that, Carol, the person that's drawn is out. So
It's so weird.
So we can do another poll. Correct me, I might be wrong here, so you can shut me down, but if you're going to vote the same, it's going to be a tie.
Can't say how we're gonna vote.
Okay,
We just
Alright.
do another.
Do another one?
Yeah, okay.
and on the event
Someone
that
might
it's
change their
tie-
mind. Oh, slip you a little smile under the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might all go the other way and then be like tired the other way. This is where it's nice when you have a full house. We had that one extra person. Come on, Sheila Ward. Oh, my gosh. I know, but I'm just like that, looks good.
Glad we've got a practice to be.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much.
It's good to be able to vote.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I've got the hat. We could do it out of my hat, which I actually think could be cute.
Yeah.
It would be good if you could vote.
Mm,
Given that you're committed to the concept, and can't have enough supporters really.
exactly.
So the vote changed.
Oh.
Councillor Davis, you have been nominated for consideration of the South Australian Rainbow Advocacy Alliance for the Rainbow Council Network. Do I have someone to move that the report be received and that Councillor Davis, Councillor Myers, thank you. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Councillor.
No, that's all right, babes,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
Yes, and thank you for your interest and I'm sure you'll share between.
Yeah. Mm.
Councillor Myers, do you wish to speak on that motion?
No.
No, Councillor Hammond.
I just have a question. In regards to the council worker position that's going to be taking on, I know we get two people, a councillor and a staff member. Do we have any understanding of, like, is there going to be a nomination process or how we're going to have a selection over an appropriate staff member to take on that role, or what, anything's been decided on in regards to that?
They have capacity.
We haven't had those conversations internally, so Gary will have a conversation with his team on how we best fill that role, and will be done on, you know, the person's role and interest in that.
I don't think you have to feel it.
No, yeah, we'll have a conversation.
Okay, any further discussion on that item? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. 12.3, councillor leave of absence. Councillor James Davis, lucky girl. The recommendation is that the report be received and that Councillor Jen Davis be granted leave of absence for the period of 14th of May 2025 to 24th of May 2025 inclusive, and 12th of August 2025 and 18th of September 2025. Have we agreement for that? Councillor Schultz, thank you. And Councillor Barber, thank you. Does anyone wish to speak on that?
Maybe have a good time.
Thank you. No one wishes to speak. Okay, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Twelve point four, expressions of interest, community member, Mid-Murray Heritage and Maritime Committee. And the recommendation is that the report be received and the council call for expressions of interest for a community member representative on the Mid-Murray Heritage and Maritime Committee. Do we have a mover? Councillor McGregor. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Barber. Would you like to speak on that, Councillor McGregor? Councillor Barber. Anybody else wish to speak? Any questions? Not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour, against, that is carried.
12.5, men's shed improvements. The recommendation is that the report be received and that council consent to the installation of a veranda at the Manham Men's Shed site located 58 Walker Avenue, Manham, as set out in attachment to your report, subject to the necessary approval process being undertaken, and the Manham Men's Shed Incorporated is entirely responsible for the installation, maintenance and replacement of the veranda. And councillor Barber is reading that. How would you wish to speak on that?
Through the mayor, I'd just like to congratulate the Men's Shed for moving forward and expanding on what they've got in the great organisation.
Thank you. Councillor Carmen had her hand up. Do you wish to second that?
Second
Yes.
that.
Would you like to speak on that? All good. Anybody else wish to speak or have any questions? Councillor McGregor.
Yeah, just through the mayor. I just wanted to, that is still got to go through the development process, so any details with closeness to the boundary, that is only might be referred close to the boundary, but that will be captured in the development process. True.
Any further questions? I have the same, assuming the DA will cover sufficient access, storm water runoff and things like that. There has been some feedback that maybe there's some issues, so yes, that's covered. I'm all good with it. And yeah, whether the Murray support services have been let know about this being that they're a co-tenant, and whether it will affect them. That's it. Anybody else have feedback or discussion? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, it's carried. Thank you. Delegation update. The recommendation is that the report be received. Revocations, having conducted its review of the amended delegations in accordance with section 44(6)A of the Local Government Act, council via a vote effective of the 8th of February 2025, the powers and permissions to the extent of the detailed changes under the following acts and specified in the instruments of delegations contained in attachment 1, being Environmental Protection Regulations 2023, Instrument A, Planning, Development and Infrastructure Act 2016, powers of a council as a council, a designated authority, a designated entity. Instrument B, Planning, Development and Infrastructure Act 2016, powers of a council as a relevant authority. Instrument of delegation by the CEO for the purposes of the Local Government Act and Food Act, Local Government General Regulations 2013, and supported residential facilities regulations. We have some adoptions, having conducted a review of the amended delegations in accordance with section 44 of the Local Government Act. Council, in exercise of the power contained in section 44 of the Local Government Act 1999, the powers and functions to the extent of the changes under the following acts and specified in the proposed instruments of delegation contained in attachment 2, hereby delegated from the 18th of February 2025 to the person occupying the office of the CEO, subject to the conditions or the limitations specified herein or in the schedule of conditions in each proposed instrument of delegation. I'll take those ones as read. 3.2, such power and functions may be further delegated by the CEO in accordance with sections 44 and 101 of the Local Government Act 1999 as the CEO sees fit, unless otherwise indicated herein or in the schedule of conditions contained in each proposed instrument of delegation. Well, who would like to move that? Councillor Toshik McPeak, thank you. Would you like to speak on that? No. Who would like to second that? Councillor Barber, thank you. Would you like to speak on that? Would anyone like to speak on that? Any questions, feedback, discussion? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. 4.7, delegations under council's bylaws. And the recommendation is that the report be received, having considered the powers and functions contained within council's bylaws of 2018 and in accordance with section 44(6)A of the Local Government Act 1999 in exercise of the power contained in section 44 of the Local Government Act 1999, the powers and functions to the extent of the changes under the following acts and specified in the proposed instruments of delegation contained in the attachment are hereby delegated from the 18th of February 2025 to the person occupying the office of CEO, subject to the conditions and or limitations specified herein or in the schedule of conditions in each proposed instrument of delegation. Bylaw number 1, permits and penalties bylaw 2018. Bylaw number 2, movable signs bylaw 2018. Bylaw number 3, roads bylaw 2018. Bylaw number 4, local government land bylaw 2018. Bylaw number 5, dogs bylaw 2018. Bylaw number 6, cats bylaw 2018. And bylaw number 7, camping and mooring bylaw 2018, subject to the heading on the instrument of delegation to read 1, inspections by authorised persons. Currently it reads limits on cats numbers. So thank you, Councillor McGregor, for picking that one out. Such powers and functions may further be delegated by the CEO in accordance with sections 44 and 101 of the Local Government Act 1999 as the CEO sees fit, unless otherwise indicated herein or in the schedule of conditions contained in each such proposed instrument of delegation. Each delegation of a power or function granted under this instrument is independent of and severable from every other delegation granted under this instrument. If a delegation of a power or function under this instrument is determined to be invalid or unlawful, the invalid or unlawful delegation will be deemed to be severed from this instrument and the remaining delegations will continue to operate according to their terms. The delegations provided for in this instrument of delegation will come into operation on the 19th of February 2025. Councillor Barber, thank you for moving that. We'd like to speak on that. I should make you read it again. Who would like to second that? Councillor Schultz, thank you. Would you like to speak? Any questions, discussion, or anyone else that wish to speak on that? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Thank you. 12.8, community loans policy. Lower short recommendation that the report be received and that community loans policy version 4 be adopted. We've just changed the wording to be adopted. Have we got a mover for that? Councillor Barber, thank you. Would you like to speak? Councillor Myers seconded that. Would you like to speak? No. Anybody else? Any questions, discussion? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? Against, that is carried.
Just for what we received.
Excellent. 12.9, CEO's monthly report. The recommendation is that the report be received. Everyone. I was looking at Councillor Hammond, she was slow. So Councillor Barber moved that. Would you like to speak on that? No? All good. Councillor Hammond, you seconded that. Yes, would you like to speak? Anybody else like to speak or have any questions for the CEO? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? Against, those carried. Thank you, Ben. 12.10, motion action list. The recommendation is that a report be received. We'll have a window for that. Councillor Davis, thank you. Would you like to speak? No. Seconder. Councillor McGregor, thank you. Would you like to speak? No. Does anybody else wish to speak or have questions or feedback? Councillor,
through the mayor, just a quick question about the agreement. Has the agreement arrived yet?
The agreement.
Yeah, we'll be waiting on it.
Any further questions or discussion? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Sustainability reports, there are nil. Committee reports. 14.1, summary of audit and risk committee meeting. Have we got a mover? The report we received in the minutes of the audit and risk committee meeting held on the 10th of February 2025 we received. Councillor Barber is moving that. Would you like to? Councillor Hammond is seconding that. Would you like to talk? No. Do we have Councillor Schultz?
I have a question. On page 287 of the agenda, what is awareness of council reports?
I can answer that one. That was something that I asked to put in, I think it was in last term of council, we had an item that was in our council reports, but wasn't really given to the audit committee. So I asked that it be put in so that they get an awareness of all their reports, not just the ones that go to audit, because sometimes there are financial things that I believe they need to know, and all of them have commented that they really like that item because they can, you know, go with it slow and understand what we do at council, and it doesn't always, you know, flow over to the audit committee. So that's what that one is.
Thank you.
Okay, extra work for staff.
Through you, Mayor Bailey, just another, given there's some decisions that council has to make outside of the schedule of the audit risk, given they only meet quarterly. So it was to highlight that as well.
Anybody else have any questions, feedback, discussion? I just wanted to add, councillor Tochick did point out that, you know, there were a number of policies that needed to be reviewed, or, you know, were long outstanding with no comments. So there is an item there, but I do believe we need to look at that, and I'll bring that up in the briefing for our forward agenda. So if nobody else wishes to ask any questions or feedback or discussion, we will put that motion up. All those in favour, against, that is carried. 11.2 minutes of the strategic growth and economic activation committee meeting held on the 29th of January 2025. The recommendation is that the report be received, and the minutes of the strategic growth and economic activation committee meeting held on the 29th of January 2025 be received. And Councillor Davis is moving that. Would you like to speak? No. Councillor Gregory is seconding that. Would you like to speak? Would anybody else like to speak or have any questions? Not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour and against, that is carried. 15.1, Mayor's monthly report. The recommendation is that the report be received. We have a mover, Councillor Barber, thank you. Do you wish to speak on that? Thank you. Councillor McGregor, thank you.
No,
for that.
second that.
Excellent.
Good job.
Thank you for not making me ask. Would anybody else wish to speak on this item or have questions, discussion, feedback? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? Against, that is carried. Oh. 16.1, elected members monthly report. The recommendation is that what we received. Thank you, Councillor Myers. Do you wish to speak on that?
Yeah, I just got a couple of changes on mine. The MCDTA meeting was held last night, not on the 10th, because they cancelled. And February 14th, I also had Canally Working Group and the Living River Working Group in Morgan.
Thank you. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Tochick, do you wish to speak? No. Anybody else wish to speak? Questions, discussion? Councillor McGregor?
Just through the mayor, it will probably be a good idea when we get our next elected member meeting things to just go through a little bit of a overview about what can go in and what doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
Just a bit of
Sort
thought.
of training.
Yeah.
In a briefing. Nice. Sure. Any further questions, feedback? If not, we'll put that motion up. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Carried. Motions with notice, there are nil. Questions with notice? In council. Following question on notice was received from Councillor McGregor. The question: has the council team been made aware of houseboats overstaying the designated mooring area at Marianne Reserve over the past few months, and how is council addressing the issue? It has been noted that a houseboat hire recently tied to council furniture in the reserve, causing damage. Although the public was aware of this, it was not officially reported until the following Monday morning, noting that staff had already visited the site and taken action before the report. And I'll just provide the response to that one. Council staff are aware of the increasing number of houseboats mooring in the vicinity of Marianne Reserve for longer than assigned times. And when possible, often speak with the operators identified who have overstayed the limit and move them on. Observations made by officers patrolling the area have shown that a vast majority of houseboats mooring in excess of the allowed time limits have been private vessels and not those under hire. And the owner operator is not present at the time of the officer's attendance. Council is unable to identify the person responsible and undertake enforcement action. As unlike offences involving motor vehicles, there's no ability for council to search a vessel's registration. Question 2. Have we been able to identify the houseboat borrowers, not just the hire company responsible, and is action being taken to recoup the cost of damage so the cost is not borne by the ratepayers? In response, with council's compliance officer made contact with the operator of the houseboat responsible for the recent damage to council infrastructure within an hour of becoming aware of the complaint. They've been made aware of the repair cost that will be borne by the company as a result of their customers' actions. And at this time, council is not pursuing the houseboat hirer. However, this action will change. And 3 is, should we create an informational piece about mooring times and proactively engage with houseboat hire companies and marinas? And the answer is, council members may recall during the camping reserves briefing sessions, a project to identify and ratify all mooring locations within the council area needs to be undertaken to allow enforcement of bylaw number 7, camping and mooring. However, due to the size and scale of this project, it is planned to coincide with the review of the bylaws set to occur in late 2025. In light of the recent issues, council will consider developing an updated guideline to accepted practices to be disseminated to both houseboat hire companies along with operators of private vessels. And the background to that was there have been increasing online discussions about the issue over the past few months. Councillor McGregor has always encouraged the public to follow the correct reporting procedures and include the details of these matters so they can be properly addressed. However, she is concerned that some members of the public perceive lack of action from the council and may potentially take matters into their own hands. So that is that question, and there's no debate or discussion on that. So if you want that, we can do a future briefing. Thank you, staff, for taking swift action and resolving the issue so that ratepayers aren't paying for expenditure. 18.2, sustainability review. Question on notice was received from councillor McKee. The question is, would you please present to council the remaining groups of assets due for consideration as part of the sustainability review, buildings, boats, land, etc. Please also provide a recommended priority for each group and a proposed date when each report would be tabled at a council briefing and subsequent council meeting. The rationale is that once we have this schedule, then council can consider the timeline and determine the projects which could be costed for engagement of a consultant to lead elements of the process for us. I feel this is becoming a matter of some urgency. As you know, we're all very keen to achieve some significant sustainability outcomes and associated ongoing savings in this term of office, while acknowledging that the process we started will continue into subsequent terms of office. And the response is the following table outlines the current schedule for phase 2 of council sustainability review, noting that the timeframes are indicative of subject to change and subject to change as a result of the resourcing and operational strategic priorities. And the direction of council, the following areas have been prioritised, which have been highlighted in green in the table, which with other areas to be progressed as resources allow. Community facilities and assets with buildings of priority and tourism, heritage and maritime assets. And I won't read every bit, you can all read what we're doing. That's a lot of work. Thank you very much to the staff. And thank you, Councillor for your question. Questions without notice. Do we have any questions of a strategic nature? Councillor Hammond.
It was really just in regards to the 18.1. Could we get a briefing session in regards to a bit more understanding of that? So I know you said that if a question we notice we can't ask any other questions. So my question now is, can I ask for a briefing session?
When we go to the forward agenda in the briefing.
I can just add that. Yeah, again.
Any further questions without notice? We will move on. Financial reports. Might please have someone leave us into confidence with the exception of Ben Scales, Gary Mavrenag, Wyatt Hempel, Harold Footery, David Hassett, Darren Arvin, and Miss Davidson.
Sorry, Glenn. Sorry, confidential matter.
Councillor Barber is
Sorry, mate.
moving that.
Oh, it's Councillor Davis moved on.
Councillor Davis moved, Councillor Barber second, thank you. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Next meeting to be held at the Mellon Council Chambers, Adelaide Road, Manor at 9:30 AM on Tuesday, the 18th of March 2025. I declare the meeting closed at 11:13 AM.